Hello， 大家好，呢個係 Kinetic Outcome， 咁我哋嘅嘉賓咧係 Ian， 咁 Ian 咧係wait，let's just restart 再 take 啦，英文啦。
Dude, I want to drop the weight. I can't do reps with this.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You are now watching Kinetic Outcome, and we are with Ian, co-founder of Strength Culture. Been a personal trainer for over a decade and still ongoing today, and also more focused on strength coaching right now. So, a little bit of introduction of yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Ian Nam. I'm the co-founder, as he said, of Strength Culture. We are one of the strongest gyms in Hong Kong at the moment. I like to say one of because the strength industry now is really up and coming. There's a lot of local talent and Filipino talent that's up and coming, and we'd like to be a part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we go deep this time.
Yeah.
Like, where were you born and just your journey
Okay.
towards how you got to where you are today.
All right. So, as he said, my name is Ian Nam. I'm the co-founder of Strength Culture and head coach also. So I'm originally from Ireland. My background is, I used to play a lot of sports growing up, soccer, rugby, everything I could get my hands on. Initially came to Hong Kong when I was 19. Growing up, my dad was not around a lot, so I wanted to reconnect with him. And I was planning on initially only spending a year in Hong Kong. I ended up liking it here so much, so a lot of opportunities here that I could work with, and ended up getting certified as a personal trainer. I started my first job in Fitness First in the commercial gym, so I got a feel of what the commercial side of the industry was like very sales oriented, not too focused on the quality of your coaching abilities.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, but it was actually a very good experience because you get to see that side of the industry as well. And you learn a lot. Like, you learn a lot on setting goals, setting targets for yourself. But after 2 years of it, I found that it was kind of limiting my ability to express myself as a coach. And I wanted to push myself a little bit further. So I left Fitness First and I started freelancing in 2012, I think it was. I started off with like one good client. Like, this one guy used to train with me like 3 times a week. And then through word of mouth with him, just my reputation built as a personal trainer, built on some more clientele. Years passed, and reconnected with Den. So I used to work with Den with my first job at Fitness First. So reconnected with him in 2016. We decided to link up. We've been focusing mainly on strength coaching and personal training since then, but we didn't have a space. So we were kind of like bouncing around different gyms. We were bouncing around like at Top Fit. We bounced around at OPS. We started our first strongman class in 2016 and our first lean and strong program in 2016. So these are two of the main classes that we're still building upon today. And just been building momentum since then. And in 2019, we decided to pull the trigger, go ahead and open Strength Culture Gym, and here we are.
Amazing. So since you did open in 2019, with all that's happening in Hong Kong plus COVID, it will be interesting to get deep into that, man. And how do you do still great at this moment?
Yeah. So it was a tough time. So we opened up in 2019, in early 2019, it was in February. So things were looking good, looking up, no issues, no problems. All of a sudden, like June, July hit, and then boom, we're hit with protests. So the protests were tough on a lot of businesses, like F&B, fitness industry, everybody was suffering. A lot of people, a lot of expats left during that time. And it was tough because it was hard getting people to the gym. Like, there was so much going on politically that people just didn't have the time or didn't have the focus to train and focus on health when there was so much disarray going on in the government. But we pulled through it. We had in 2019 also, during the protests, we had World's Strongest Man came to Strength Culture to do a seminar. So it was a challenging time because during then, like, we didn't know what was going to happen. So he was traveling from the US, he was doing a China tour, and then he was coming into Hong Kong. So it was tricky, like, getting him into Hong Kong and then making sure that his stay was sufficient, that he had fun, that he had a good time, and also making sure that people actually wanted to see him. Because strongman is such a niche sport, such a small sport, that not many people know about it. So having the World's Strongest Man in, it gave us the kind of push and the marketing to actually push the sport ahead, so people actually could see it. Like, when you have a small city like Hong Kong, compared to strength sports, it's very small on the map. So when you have a big name like World's Strongest Man coming in, that really just pushes you ahead. makes you want to do better. So we had him in July 2019. Made it through the protests. Everything was going well. Classes were picking up. PTs were picking up. We got more interest in strongman because we had world's strongest man in. And then 2020 hits. And then we have COVID.
By March, yeah?
Yeah, by March 2020. So that was our first gym closure. Even tougher than the protests because we couldn't open. Like the government ordered us to be shut. And then being a strength gym, a lot of gyms were going outside and doing outdoor workouts with bands and some light dumbbells. But being a strength gym, you can't just show up with a pair of bands and let's say, let's do some band work, let's do some push-ups. No, we had to bring the barbells, we had to bring the weight plates, we had to bring the strongman equipment like the logs, the axle bars, everything. So this was a good challenging time for us because of this issue. But also it brought like our community, our gym community together. Because during that time, like we had people coming in instead of like just myself and Den that would take all the equipment outside and bring it back. It was like the community, the guys that we train, our members were coming in, were helping us to like lug equipment out, doing the sessions, lug equipment back. So it was a challenging time, but it was quite an interesting time. And it was nice to see everybody come together as they did during COVID. Now we're through it, hopefully. Things are looking up. The vaccination program is running. So it looks like things are looking like they're going to clear through until the end of the year. Hope so, at least.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully at least next year, economy starts to kickstart.
Yeah.
And everyone can fly around already.
Oh,
I
man,
want to
hope
get out
so.
of Hong Kong.
Hope
as
so.
well. So the next question is, what do you think of people's approach to the industry you're in Hong Kong?
I think the approach to the industry is
Businesses.
So the approach to businesses is that a lot of freelance trainers nowadays. So freelance trainers that it's great, like people are interested in becoming a coach and becoming a personal trainer. But you have to remember that you're in the service industry. So it's not just about yourself looking good on Instagram, pulling weights and showing off your muscles. You got to be in it for your clients, for your customers. And I don't think some people realize that it's a lot of work. And a lot of people look at it as like a fallback career, whereas, if this doesn't work, I can fall back and always be a PT. Whereas like you really have to be in it. Like we work long hours. I work 14-hour days. So I start at 6 a.m. and I finish at 8:30, 9 p.m. every night. And that's with a kid at home. So my wife has been a huge support for me over this last 2 years. And I really appreciate her for that. But I think that's one of the things that people don't realize is that it's tough. And it's not an easy industry to be in.
Yeah, because I got a friend, he does Muay Thai.
Yeah.
He trains people, right? But your hours are like irregular because if you have to train someone at 6 a.m., then you have to wait for 3 hours for the next one.
Exactly.
And then after the next one, right after that, then another 5-hour gap.
Yeah.
So it is quite tough.
Yeah.
You're always on standby.
Well, that'd be nice, man. I would like a few hours gap between my PTs.
So there's no gaps for you?
There are days like today, like as best in for you guys. Usually my days are, like example, tomorrow. So Thursday, I'll start at 6 and I'll work straight through until 1 p.m. And then I'll have an afternoon break, which I'll do my own training. And then I've got classes from 5:30 until 8:30 in the evening that day. It's a full-on day. Yeah.
And besides training people, you always got to be at your peak state as well. You have to train.
For me, like I do it for the passion, right? I really love what I do. So I love training. I love pushing myself, but I love pushing others as well. And it's one of the most enjoyable aspects of being a personal trainer. It's not like what I can do myself. It's what I can build people up to do. So when you have like a 50-plus-year-old guy who says he wakes up in the morning and he feels great, no stiffness, no lower backache, no knee pain, then I've done my job right, you know? And that's quite a rewarding part of the job.
All right. Next up is, what advice would you give to people who aspire to be like you and your partner?
All right. I would say work your damn ass off. Like I said before, it's not an easy industry to be in. And the fitness industry is always changing. Like you got to stay ahead of the curve. There's always some new research coming out that you have to stay on top of. And you can't just do your one certification and then hang back. You got to always be looking for the next step or the next certification or the next seminar to take to always increase your knowledge. So I think that will put you ahead of like some of the other coaches who are kind of happy where they are. I think you got to be willing to really like push yourself ahead of those.
Yeah. Okay. And I wanted to go back just on that part where you said it was mainly about sales. I do notice a couple of personal trainers in Hong Kong I won't say which gym. They don't look like it. They are chubby.
Yeah.
Like I look more like I'm a personal
You look more
trainer
jacked than they do. Yeah.
So, what comment would you have to give for that?
I would say if I was a client, so if I see myself as a client and I was looking for a personal trainer, there's kind of like two ends to the spectrum of that. So there's one end where you may have a coach that looks amazing, like physically well, lifts great, looks great, but they didn't have the knowledge and to understand how they got themselves there, right? So they may look great, but they don't have the knowledge to get me as a client to that point, right? And then the other end, you have the one who looks terrible. Looks like he's never lifted a day in his life. But maybe he's had like a lot of years under his belt. Maybe he's been coaching for 10, 20, 30 years maybe. And he's happy with what he's doing now. Maybe he's got the knowledge, but he just doesn't apply it to himself. So for me as a coach, I try to have myself in between. So I'm always pushing myself physically in the gym. So I understand what the process would be to get me from lifting or deadlifting X amount of weights to get me to Y. Right? And then on the other end, you got to really know like the knowledge part. You got to really understand what makes a person and what makes a client get it from A to B. So the guy who's like unfit, maybe he's got the knowledge. The guy who's super fit, maybe he has no clue what he's doing, but he just looks good. So I try to have myself somewhere in between those 2 points.
Okay. But honestly, to pick, I would still pick the one that looks good with the knowledge.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
Cool.
I think that, like I said, it's a fine balance between both.
I was going to say, so guys, if you're interested, yeah. And next question is, it could be anybody. Who do you look up to most?
Who I look up to? Oh, it's a big question.
It could be more than one, actually.
Yeah. Oh, multiple people. My wife is one person I look up to. So for me, without her in my life, I definitely cannot do what I'm doing now. Like the amount of support she gives me is just through the roof. It's out of this world. And without her support, like I couldn't put my focus into strength culture, into the business, into my clients, and into my own personal goals that I have as well. So I really do admire her and look up to her for that. Second then is my business partner, Den. He's another person that really pushes me outside of my comfort zone. So before I partnered up with Den, I was pretty comfortable where I was. So I had a lot of clients, freelance clients. I was happy like just renting space at different gyms and very chill. But then there comes a point where you hit like max capacity. And I think both of us were kind of at that point. And as we teamed up, we just threw some ideas together just to figure out ways that we could further enhance ourselves and enhance like strength culture as a whole. So I look up to him and his work ethic as well, because he works his fucking ass off. For me, I need my sleep, man. I sleep like a fucking baby from like 11 p.m. But he would work like throughout the night. So, and I really look up to that, admire it.
Is he one of those where he sleeps 3 a.m. but he's up here at 6?
He's one of those guys, yeah.
Man, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's always good to have somebody like that on your team, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I think both of us, like we complement each other well. Like we both have our areas that we really excel at, and it's quite a good combination of both.
I'm a strong believer of pressure. If you don't have it,
you don't grow,
right?
Man. Yeah.
And so a little bit of more every day, rather than you can't do too much, right?
Exactly.
It's like saying you don't have experience, but you deadlift 100 kg right away. No, but at least comfortable
gotta have
is
something. Yeah.
You
don't grow in your comfort zone, right? You gotta step out of it.
Yes, camera guy, you cannot. Kidding. Okay. And I guess this one is the last question. Is there anything we would look forward to? Something exciting that you would be, excited to share?
Oh, I've got like very exciting things. Yeah. Okay. So we've opened up here, like I said, in 2019. So we're 2 years here. Our third year, we'll be coming on our third year next year. We have just signed a lease for a new space, which is in Central. So we're going to expand. So with this current space, we've reached like max capacity. Classes are full. We cannot actually conduct any more PTs because the space is just so full. We were lucky to be in that situation, considering through the protests and through COVID. We're lucky that we've got through that point, and now that we're expanding. So the new space, it's going to be further down Central near Queen's Road, but we're going to have 2 floors. So the ground floor is going to be for PT, like we'll have a nice luxurious machines. And then the basement, we'll have a basement that's going to be just pure raw strength training. Like all the strongman stuff, Atlas stones, throwing bags, heavy barbells, Olympic lifting. We're going to have all that.
And Kevin Padua.
Kevin Padua.
Yeah, he's very passionate about it.
Number
He tells
one.
me
Kevin
about it a lot.
Padua. Yeah. That boy's a beast. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I guess that's about it. And lovely to have you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hector, Ian, I will put links in the description box. Follow him online. And if you're curious about classes, contact him. Kinetic Outcome.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Our aim is to provide value. So if you like what you watched, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'm also a financial advisor based in Hong Kong, so feel free to check the description box for my details and email or DM. And if ever you need video and photography services, the phenomenal videos you're watching right now are filmed by 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙗. Lastly, if you love hip-hop music, rap, R&B, singing, whichever that sounds amazing to your ears, because I always do a lot of experiments with it, feel free to drop by my channel at SCF Saint or Saint Crossfade. Appreciate you for being part of this episode and more to come. Till next time.